Hey, this is my third vlog post, and I don't know if this is going to be a weekly thing. I did it last Friday. It's Friday again. I found myself here in my classroom. It's time to do it another one. Not sure if this is going to be the schedule. Maybe I'll do it every day, maybe whenever I have an idea. But, it's been good for me. I'm sure there's some ideas in here that you might like or might like to see. It's also nice to have a raw look at a teacher's life and what we have to deal with. So I was gonna do kind of a grumpy post, but then I thought, nah, I'm not gonna talk about kids whining over their grades and not doing their work, and parents wanting to know why this is all going on, and my divergent thinking head exploding because I see the larger issue with our society, threaded throughout all these problems, and don't even know where to start sometimes. I'm gonna skip all that. There'll be probably plenty of grumpy posts here in the future, but let's talk about the positive things we do. One of the things that I like to do is to prepare well for lessons and to prepare well for units. It helps when I'm really busy to make lesson plans when the unit is well organized. So this means you have to look at how you've changed the unit. The unit might have changed in terms of curriculum for our department, which it has, and we have to look at what we're teaching, what worked last year, what you think is going to work better with this year's students. So all these factors that have to go in. If you're doing the same thing every year, there's a problem, because the world has changed, these kids have changed, the content has changed, what's available has changed, how we work has changed. So here we go. So I'm going to start here with a little look at Quizlet. I just went through, reordered some of these, put them in more chronological order so my students can learn them in some chronology. I think chronology is very important, especially when learning history. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. Although you don't need to learn it all chronologically to learn it well. You can learn it in chunks, but at some point you gotta put things in order. So I've found that if we can put it in order in the beginning, it helps that much more when they're making timelines toward the middle or the end of the unit. So this is all ready to go. I'm gonna click done. And we'll use this to play Quizlet Live. They'll use it to study. We'll track some data with that. It's very effective. Okay, so that's all ready to go. I'll look at last year's plans and what we've been working with. That might change a little bit this year, but just looking at materials and what we're working with, I usually start here with Google Drive. We'll find our India case study. And there's a couple DBQs. I think I've chosen to use this DBQ because I just think it has better questions. The questions scaffold critical thinking a little bit better than the other one that I used to use. So we're gonna go with that one. Plus, it has better sourcing material. We've been working on OPVL, right? Over here. Origin, purpose, value, limitation to evaluate sources. So I'm gonna stick with sources and materials that allow them to continue those routines. So kind of quickly going through, one of the things I do is I put a star. You can see that star, right here, on the documents that I'm going to use. So I know I'm going to use this one. I'm going to use this BBC timeline. And there's some gaps in this timeline. Gaps in a timeline are great. Missing information in a textbook is awesome because it's just an opportunity for students to figure out what's missing and for them to see that there are holes in trustworthy materials. I think the BBC News is very trustworthy, but this person has decided to leave out some things between 1885 and 1920 that I think are really significant. I don't know, let's say Indian involvement in World War I, the Rowlett Acts, Amritsar Massacre. I mean, there's so much in there that they need to learn about and study. So other things that we'll use this presentation, put a little star on that one, and this stuff on the partition of India. Okay, I might also go through and check my my YouTube playlists, maybe make sure that the videos are in order, add some new ones. Every year there's new ones to add, and see if there's any sort of lesson I can build around that, maybe some quizzes or assessments. Oh, which reminds me, some quizzes or assessments that could go with the video. just to differentiate for different students. Some students are just not going to get it when I say it. They're not going to get it when you read it. You throw them a video where they can hear it, they can read it, they can see it, and maybe then it clicks. So they need multiple opportunities for repeated review. And it's very easy I think, it's very easy these days to provide that for them. I think that if you've been doing this for many years, it might not be as easy. But if you're just starting out, or you've been doing it for 7 years like me, it's not that hard, you know? Let's see here. I think that's pretty good. Let's look at the quiz that I made here. Probably gonna take some of these questions and make a Google form. Google form quizzes are auto-graded. You know, I can put this whole piece in there. There's a mixture of documents, some cartoons. Later on I'll take a closer look at the actual content, make sure that it's assessing what they're learning, make sure it's assessing the standards we're focusing on, and make sure that the essential questions and enduring understandings line up with all this. But that's part of the process. I'll dig into that after this video. You don't want to watch me do that. That could take, you'd see like steam coming out of my ears and everything, and just, dusting off the cobwebs. That's no place on YouTube for that stuff. Another thing is to go into the files. Here's the files. So last year, this was called New Nationalism, right? It included India and Middle Eastern issues of nationalism, but we've changed it. So one of the things that I might do is go through all this paperwork, organize it. That's a long list of content that they'll probably never remember, okay? And just find the good stuff. Figure out what copies I need. But what I'll also do, just in case the lights go out, is put some of the paper stuff in order so that when I pull out a file, I can have it. Because, paper and files load faster. And if I got students in here that need something to get going and I haven't prepared well enough to have it going on the projector, or the computer's slow, or we lose Wi-Fi, you just gotta, boom, transition right to the paper and keep it going, right? Because the fact of the matter is, the technology is cool. It's fun. You manage information in interesting ways. You can make things you could never make with paper in such a short amount of time. It's to the point where we get more done than I ever got done in high school with no homework. And my AP students do great, above the national average on their test scores, and I owe that all to them, not me. But what I don't do is plan these units, to stress them out, to provide homework, to show a force of paper and workload that says, this is a tough class. You know why this class is tough for kids? Because they have to think, they have to ask questions, they have to pursue those questions. And sometimes those questions don't yield answers. They gotta write new questions. Sometimes they ask me a question and I just give them another question. Or not a direct answer, but maybe a little piece that'll help them find the next question. Okay, so it's tough in those ways. That's rigor. That's critical thinking. Not how many pages you read for homework at night and how many tests and quizzes the teacher gives you to make sure that you're doing it. Okay, I think that stuff is important. It has its place, but it's not everything. And it's not realistic. So I'm going to finish planning this unit. I thought this was a much more positive way to end the week, to be well prepared for the next couple weeks. And after a while, when you have enough materials and you're teaching for a while, it gets not easy. You just get better at it, and it takes less time to do certain things, and you get to spend more time figuring out how to make lessons that allow students to make connections, text-to-text connections, text to themselves. What are they reading and learning about that makes them think about themselves, and text to the world. What else is this like? If we're going to look at Gandhi, we're also going to compare that to how what they learned about Mao and Mao's ways of gaining power. I might ask the question, how does Gandhi's nonviolent approach compare to Mao's approach in terms of uniting a country and maintaining control? So, it's a decision. They get to evaluate. They get to look at, what's in front of them, and hopefully decide when they're a manager or when they're working on a team and when they have responsibilities, their parents, whatever, are they going to be more Mao or are they going to be more Gandhi or some mix of the two? So the future is theirs. Have a good week. Thanks for watching.